Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Going Ballistic podcast. I'm Ryan Kleckner, and we've got Jason with us. How you doing, Jason?
Doing good, man. A lot more alert and awake than last trip, I'll tell you
Good.
that.
This is actually only our second podcast of the new year. That's how bad we've been. So thanks
I
for joining
know.
me again.
Not a problem, man. I'm glad to do it and glad to be here.
So you're staying busy with work, right?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I'm burning the candle at two ends sometime.
Yeah. That's good. That's how you get ahead. That's good. I know that feeling. So good. There's been a lot going on this past week. I'm glad we're having a chance to talk about things. If you remember last year, I think I mentioned that I went and shot some new videos with the NSSF. I
Yes.
think it was October of last year. So the idea was we did those first videos when I worked for the NSSF, and they literally were just kind of coming upstairs and going, "Hey, you government relations guy, you do long range shooting, right? You want to do some videos?" Sure. So I walked down to the studio because they have their own studio down there, and was able just to say, "Well, where do you want to start? Let's talk about how to set up a scope." And I just talked for it. And I think actually some of the folks there were not excited about it because they had believed, you could only have a 3-minute YouTube video. And we're like, well, no, maybe you can have a longer YouTube video if it's good content. And it was like a 15-minute video of just me standing there talking. And it took off. And so they're like, hey, let's do some more. So we did some more. And that's been like 6-7 years ago now. And actually, those videos and the feedback for those were the motivation for the book. And then I just reached out to them last year and said, hey, guys, you ever want to do some more videos? Just let me know. And their response was hilarious. Their response was, oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Please do. We've been waiting to do some more videos. Like, my phone works. We can do some more. So we actually went out and just knocked out tons of videos in a couple days. And I don't remember if I told you guys yet or not, but one of the videos I was really looking forward to was at the end of the filming. We had done like 20 something videos in a couple days. I had a Tika and a Vortex scope that I hadn't used yet. I wanted to make sure I got them into a video. And I said, well, let's hurry up and get these, set up, and let's do the last couple more videos so people can see these, products working. And right when I was about to put a paper target up, I said to the camera crew, because I had like 3 guys out there as the crew, say, hey guys, hold on real quick. I got to zero it first, see what we can do. And I forget if one of them brought it up or I brought it up, or like, you know what? Why don't we just do a video on that? How to set up the scope. We said, we could just do it as one live shot if you guys are up for it. And yeah, so they grabbed the Steadicam because they already had some of the other camera equipment put away. So they grabbed like the handheld, I think they called it gimbal, the thing that holds the camera stable.
Right.
And so they brought that out, and they're like, all right, let's just do it in one continuous take. And I was nervous because, one, I'd been shooting for 2 days straight, like 23 videos, I think, in 2 days, out in Texas, getting warm. I'm like, oh man, this is going to look really bad with a brand new scope, a brand new rifle, and factory ammo. And I don't know if this rifle likes the ammo. I was worried I'm going to look stupid if I mess this one up. Like, well, we'll try it in one take. What if I mess it up? Maybe we can edit it. And so we said, all right, let's do it. So they started the camera, and I just walked back and forth from the rifle. So I'd shoot at a distance, and I'd walk up to the target just like I'd walk up with a student. And I just did what I'd consider hip pocket training. I just kind of went with whatever I felt like talking about or whatever we're experiencing. And it was great they let us do that because so many tips came out that I'm used to saying over and over that probably wouldn't have made it into their own video. Just these little tricks or these little things, even like a mistake, I made in the video. I'm like, hey, look, made a mistake. Let's try and recover from that, and let's see how we can correct from that. And it was actually just a great learning experience. So I'm glad it was in there. And I think it's good for people to see too, that I'm not going to just have videos out where I just edit everything, to make it look good. I don't care if you see some of the warts. This is a learning lesson for everybody. So I think it was kind of cool to do it. So the video came out a few days ago. It's on NSSF's page, and it's 22-minute live shot. And that poor camera operator, his name's Eric, great dude at the NSSF. At the very end of the video, he pans up to the sky as the video ends. And I think that was him passing out because he had to hold that thing in front of him with his hands for 22 minutes, just wondering when I was going to shut up and stop shooting. So did you get a chance to check that video out?
I did. I watched it.
Good.
I liked it a lot. There's a lot of good tips. My favorite tip that you have in there is when you are doing adjustments like that they're in reverse, when you're moving your scope adjustments without actually moving where the bullet trajectory is going.
Oh, right.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So, well, first off, we're broadcasting live on YouTube for this podcast. So people are commenting on there already and following along. And just thought I'd let you know, Jason, we already got a thumbs down.
Uh-oh.
So,
We got a thumbs down.
so that's what we got going on. People are already trolling us out there or hating on us, Gus. So gotta love you. Hate to have bothered you that you didn't like the video, but you don't have to watch. So the rest of you that are here, I'm glad you're here. Feel free to comment and ask questions as we go along. We'll try and address them the best we can. So what Jason's saying, I think what you're saying, Jason, is when I see the impact of the bullet, let's say to the right of where I want the bullet to be, that in order to adjust my reticle, you actually need to move the reticle the opposite direction. Now, I'm going to back off a second. And first, I want to make sure that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically, in simple terms, for me anyway, is most people, when they adjust their scope, they're not looking through it. And if you were to look through your scope while you were turning it up, it is actually going down.
Correct. Yeah. So it's one of those things that you're never going to encounter unless you're actually trying to look at your reticle and move your reticle a certain direction. So if you're just realizing, hey, my bullet needs to go left, well, then just look at the turret and turn it to the left, because you're always adjusting when the turret's marked a certain direction. You're adjusting the impact of the bullet. So you want to make the bullet move left, you turn the turret to where it says left, and it's going to move your shot to the left. But what I was talking about at this distance is you looking through the scope and watching your reticle move, because I was bore sighting. It was actually before I shot at all. I looked through the barrel at the target, and then without moving the rifle, I looked through the scope and saw how far off the reticle was where the barrel was aiming. And then I wanted to move the reticle to where the barrel was aiming. So when you're doing it like that, you're actually watching the reticle. And if the reticle is above the target, or let's just say, sticking with the right, let's just say the reticle's to the right of the target, and I need to bring the reticle to the left, I can't just go to that turret and turn to the left. Because remember, that left marking on the turret is for the bullet's impact. To move the reticle, you have to go the exact opposite direction. And the reason this works is if you want to move the bullet's impact to the left, you actually want to move the reticle and the scope to the right, so that you have to move the entire system back left again to get it lined back up on the target. So by moving that reticle to the right and then having to force and point the barrel further left to get it to line up again, that's how you move the impact to the left. So I hope I didn't make that more confusing than it needed to be. But yeah, that was a tip that came out in there. Now, that's not how you do it though, right? So you do bore sight when you zero rifle?
Yeah, I'll look through the board like you did in the video, and I actually start at 25 yards just like you did. To get it on the paper. And once it's on the paper, I immediately move to 100 yards.
Yep.
And I pretty much do it in 2 to 3 shots. So I'm using a lead sled when I sight my rifles in.
Okay.
So I'll get on target, fire the gun, and then what I do is put my crosshairs back on the bullseye. And the gun's not going to move on the lead sled because it's locked in. And then I literally look through the scope and turn my crosshairs to where the bullet hit.
No, you're going to have to line the gun back up after it fires, because even though it's in a lead sled, it's still going to move during firing, right?
Yes, it moves.
Okay.
But I line it back up, because I'm holding dead center.
Yep.
And then I'm just turning my crosshair to where the bullet hit. And then now when you move it back to the crosshair, it's on.
That's a great system. That's exactly kind of what we're talking about here is you want the impact to go left, you have to move the reticle to the right to line up with the impact.
Yep.
Because however far you moved it to the right is how far now you got to bring the entire rifle back left again to hit. So yeah, so zeroing is just making sure the impact is where the reticle is. So really take all this left, right, up and down out of it and just do what Jason does. And that's all that matters, because zeroing just means when the reticle is pointing somewhere, that's where the bullet's going to hit. So who cares the math? Who cares the directions? You could just turn the knobs both ways and get lucky, run it like an Etch-a-Sketch. And if you move the reticle to where the bullets are hitting, well, that's called zeroed, because that's all you want it to be. Is really the reticle is not this baseline. I mean, we treat it like a baseline, but that's not really what it is. It's just a external reference point we can use to tell us where the bullets impact. Right? So if there was no reticle and you had to use like a marker, you could shoot and look through the scope and take a marker dot and put it where the bullets impact. That's just a reference point for you to see, where the bullet's going to impact. So anyway, cool. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, even though going back and looking up, even with the mistakes I had made in the adjustments, I figured out what I did after the fact. I said I was going to adjust the bullets to about 3/4 of an inch low at 25 yards. Right. And right when I said it, then I looked through the scope and then I made measurements right to the center of the target. So that 3/4 of an inch, if you multiply that out 4 times, by the time you
Right.
get back to 100, that's why I was that much higher. I'm like,
Right.
oh, the math works perfect. So it's just one of those, you know, being live on a camera and no matter, just kind of going as you go. Sometimes you say things wrong or something like that.
Oh,
So
it's a
anyway,
it's a learning curve for sure. I mean, I missed an elk one year, a long time ago, before I changed all my ways of sighting in a rifle because I went off of a computer thing that somebody printed for me.
huh?
And it did some crazy math and said, okay, if you shot your gun at 27 yards, it's going to re-zero at 300. And there's this big long printout of where
Right.
the bullet was. I'm like, well, this is cool. It's way easier to shoot at 27 yards. I got news for you. It was shooting about 3 feet high.
Yeah.
And the elk I was shooting at was probably 150
Now that
yards away.
can work if you know the exact bullet you're shooting and the exact velocity. You can get one of the charts and it'll work. I mean, it's a ballistic chart. It's true. But the problem is the environmental effects, the velocity, the exact bullet, the
Uh,
barrel length, it's all going to change. And so you can't ever just get one of those pre-printed ones, and
yeah,
have it work.
and so anyway, yeah, it was a real learning curve for me for sure.
Good. So
But
you do it in fewer shots. You please tell me you at least confirm though. Like you do that and you shoot a final group to confirm it, right?
oh, absolutely, yeah. Once
Okay.
once I because well, here's the thing too. One shot's not going to do it. I could wiggle a little bit. I could move a little bit. So once I reconfirm, then I'll start throwing groups in there, and confirm that all my groups are tight and they're together. It's not like the old days. I mean, the old days we used to sit there and just start, like you said, start cranking it and go through a box of shells trying to sight in a rifle, right?
Yeah. I remember,
So
when I was younger, I mean, my dad or other people in the family, you just kind of sighted it in by you shoot a couple and you're like, no, a little higher. So you'd crank it up a little bit and
yeah,
that wasn't high
exactly.
enough. So you'd crank it some more. Well, the problem too, we were using hunting grade scopes, which aren't going to adjust precisely. So
Right.
especially less expensive ones, that's kind of what we grew up with. I mean, I don't think we were poor, but we didn't have the money to go spending on expensive optics, so you had
No.
whatever scope came on the gun, when
Right.
you got to the yellow front, or
The
if they
old
still have those,
the old
so
burst, man. We had
yeah.
old bursts.
So the problem with that though is you make adjustments. Sometimes the scope lags, so it's not making the adjustments, and all of a sudden the gun recoils, and the adjustment can make inside. That's why you'll jump sometimes
Right.
to see it happen. So you'd use the most of a box of shells, and you're like, I think this is good, okay.
Yeah.
And then we didn't know that you had to re-zero with different ammo. We just assumed, well, what do you mean it's zeroed? It's a
Yeah.
rifle. What are you
What are
talking
you talking
about?
about?
Which is fine for hunting. That's all you had to do. But that's funny. That's
Yeah.
funny. So we learned. But you do it in a few shots. I did the whole video in 9 shots, right? And I do things I normally wouldn't do. So I'll bore sight at the 100. Honestly, if it's just me, I bore sight at the 100 and shoot.
Right.
I can usually get it close enough, even just bore sighting to make sure I'm at least on paper. And I won't shoot the first group. I'll just shoot the first round, kind of like you do. I may not be perfect, but if I'm 6 inches off, I'd rather just go ahead and make the adjustment now to get in closer. You know what I
Right.
mean? To shoot a group and then go ahead and take my fine tuning, adjustments from there. And I even talk about some tips like, if you have a scope that only adjusts in certain increments and you have to end up being just barely below or barely above, I like to be barely below, because when you're shooting at targets and you miss low, you can see the impact usually better. Versus missing over a target, sometimes the impact is behind the target and you can't see it. So if you have to err on one side or the other, or things like that. So someone made a comment on the video, and I'm glad they did. It was a great comment. They said, hey, buddy, you don't have to run the bolt so hard, because one of the things I want you to learn from, if you guys go look at that video, is when I talk about running the bolt, that video is an example of how I run the bolt. You run it aggressively, you run it quickly, because the gun needs to be loaded again. I know I'm just zeroing. I know I'm not in a gunfight, or I'm not, in the middle of a shot of hunting right now, but it's just about getting good habits. And most of the guys that wouldn't want to do um, that kind of reloading, they would say, well, you're just zeroing, so take it easy. Okay, they got a point, but at the same time, those guys probably, when they had a handgun, wouldn't do that. Most of those guys wouldn't stand there with a slide lock to the rear on their pistol and just stare at the target. They'd get in the habit of getting the gun back up and running again. And so I just think, especially with so many military and police sniper students I've had over the years, that's the one thing they tend to always do wrong, is they'll shoot around, they'll pull the bolt to the rear and sit there and peek at their round, or shoot a group and then lay there on an empty gun. Is I encourage people just to run it. And that video is a good chance to see how you run it,
No, I agree. I mean, from a hunting standpoint, always throw another round in and be ready, because you just don't know if the animal's going to get back up, or
Yeah. Or depending on what you're hunting, there could be other animals. There could be all
Yeah,
sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's just a good habit to
exactly.
get into. Sitting on an empty gun is useless. And you're recoiling anyway. Might as well recoil, reload it, and get back on that target. He also mentioned, maybe taking like a minute to let the barrel cool down between each shot to get like these perfect groups. Sure. I mean, that can make a difference. These like high-end bench rest shooters that shoot better groups than I'll ever shoot do that, and there's got to be a reason for it. But to me, it's not that important. One, even messing up, I shot half-minute groups. I shot a 3 and a 5 round half-minute group with factory ammo out of a gun that ammo may not even be the best for the gun. Off of a pack in a bag, like not out of a lead sled. So I gave him a response, like a pretty thorough response, saying, "Hey, I don't worry. I love the comments. I love the chance to talk about it, and this is why I do it." And after I left the comment, I thought, maybe I should just respond because I can, because he was wondering why I did it. I'm like, because I can. Yeah, if you let the barrel cool down, maybe they'll give you a better group. But then again, if you believe in the cold bore theory, I'm not sure I'm completely on board with it. I know it makes a difference, but if you believe in like a cold bore theory, well, then if your barrel's only going to shoot in that spot when the barrel's cool, well, then you're only going to be good for your first shot. From your second shot on to whatever, your barrel's going to be warm. So I don't know, if I have to be off on one, maybe be off on the only one that's cold, and see what the group does when the gun is actually warm. And the other is, I was a 22-minute video already. It would have been a lot longer if I waited a minute between shots. So I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I don't mean to pick on the comment. I'm actually going to bring it up because it was a great comment. I love all the positive feedback from things like this, but I also love too, don't hesitate, folks, people coming in going, "Hey, why do you do that? You don't need to," or what's the point of that? Because that gives a chance for me to learn from you, maybe you and others to learn from me. So I appreciate it, guys. So yeah.
The other thing is, I want to throw in there is, if things aren't working out, don't immediately think that it's your shooting. I mean, I've had guns. Well, we had that one AR that I got, and I went out to shoot it and was just livid because I couldn't get it to shoot tight groups. Messed with it. You and I talked several occasions. Maybe it's the ammo. Maybe check the scope, and lo and behold, had a loose barrel nut. After messing with it.
Yep.
So
yep, I remember that. Yeah, talking about stuff like that. Yep. I'm looking at someone's comment on here. Philip's talking about funny you can chase a bullet with a loose scope. True. Actually, I don't remember if that was the Philip or not. But in the course we had taught out in Arizona, someone was doing that, and that was funny. We're trying to figure out what in the world's going on. Went back and checked. I'm like, oh, your scope is loose. Like, that's easy. So Jason's point is right, everybody. Don't always think it's you, but I'm going to kind of crap on that point a little bit and think it's you first. So at least assume it's you first, because it's probably going to be you. Now, if you've tried it again, you've stopped and dry fired a few times and got back the ammo back in there and tried again, it's still not working, okay, then don't let it ruin your day. See if it's equipment. That's where it's nice shooting with somebody else. It's so nice just to say, "Hey, you shoot this for me real quick," and don't have an ego if they shoot a better group. Just learn from it.
Right.
So that's what I do in the video. When I make the mistake on the adjustment, I adjust a little too high when we went back to 100. I just looked at the camera. I'm like, "Oh, look, messed up." I could have sat there and dwelled on why, which I finally figured out why, or I can just do what I need to do to correct. And that's a big thing I teach not only in the book but in my classes is, don't focus on why you missed. Focus on what it takes to make a hit. And I know that might sound a little weird, like it's the same thing, but it's not. It's I didn't dwell on why the miss was there. I didn't. I just knew that in order to hit, I needed to adjust down this amount. So I went and adjusted down that amount. And sure enough, it works. And I'm shooting and I'm on with my day. And of course, you can see how that applies in tactical situations too, or even hunting is, who cares why it hit low? Aim higher and shoot the target. Get it done, and don't dwell on it.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you, because when you first got me started in this, it's been what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I did, and I used to get so angry because I was after this impossible dream of trying to hit the same hole or whatever the case was. But it would bother me to the point that it just made it worse.
Yeah. So there's a lesson in life there too, not just shooting, guys.
Yeah.
If you miss and you mess up, okay, fine. But that bullet is down range. Nothing you're going to be able to do is going to pull that bullet back. So might as well get it out of your head and focus on making the next shot count instead of worrying about that last one. So that's cool. So good, man. They actually surprised me with that video. Someone had sent me an email saying, "Hey, Ryan, I bought a Teak Attack A1 and 6.5 Creedmoor, and I thought you were going to give me a hard time for picking that rifle or that caliber. And then all of a sudden I saw the video and you're shooting that one. I went, what video? I had to go look and shoot. Did NSSF put one up? It was like, I missed it. It had been out for a couple of days and they just forgot to like ping me. And I was like, oh, hey, cool. Look, the video's up. And they started with that one. All right, well, great. So hopefully they'll be rolling out a lot more over the next few months. So keep an eye on it, guys, and I appreciate it. So I want to talk about a new pistol that came out. And I want to know what your thoughts are on it. Are you familiar with the Smith? Okay, this is a long, weird name. Smith & Wesson Shield EZ 2.0.
Not familiar with it, but I've seen a picture of it.
Okay. Does anything stand out to you?
Yeah, the huge safety on the back of the grip. And the shape of it is horrible.
I don't know what they were doing. First off, there may have been. I'm not very familiar with all the naming conventions for the shields and M&Ps because I think it's M&P Shield. If it's Smith & Wesson M&P Shield EZ 2.0 with the grip safety, that's a long name. So I don't know all the conventions there, but I don't even know if there was a 1.0 EZ for there to be a 2.0. But either way, it's got a very weird looking grip safety to me. And Springfield had been taking a lot of heat lately for coming up with kind of what guns. So I'm jumping to Springfield now. At SHOT Show, even some of the guns they came out with, I don't know. I mean, I know they've made good guns. Maybe they still make good guns, but they just seem to be missing the mark a lot in the industry, where companies like Ruger and Tika and some companies like that are just really, really doing well and knowing what people need. Yeah, Springfield lost their way, I think, a little bit here. Just some weird guns that they're making. And somebody put up a meme a couple days ago, which is how I learned about this Shield, Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 2.0 EZ. We're making a joke on Springfield in a board meeting saying, I think we've captured the FUD market, the market of these guns that people don't really want. And then it had Smith & Wesson saying, like, hold my beer, like we can do it. Yeah, I just don't understand it. So you guys, if you're listening, if you got some comments, let me know. If you think it's cool, great. Let me know why. Convert me. But it's just the most awkward looking grip safety I think I've ever seen, especially it hinges from the bottom, which is fine. I mean, my HK P7 does that. But it hinges from the bottom, and the top of the grip safety cuts short. Like, it's shorter than where the web of your hand is going to go at the top. And then it cuts like down at an angle. To me, that just, I swear that where I'm putting the pressure on my web of my hand, that's not going to line up right. And it's supposed to be a compact carry, right? It's in 380. So they made it's a compact, but it's a pretty full-size gun for a compact. And then they made it in 380, which I don't know why you would just do it in 9mm. I don't get it, man. So help me out here. Is there a redeeming quality that I'm missing? Am I just being negative tonight or what?
No, I would not. Well, to be fair, I've never held one or fired one. But I would turn away from it just at the shape and the look of the grip.
It's just weird. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll be happy to be wrong, but man, companies like SIG too. I mean, even though there's still some of the SIG products I don't like, of course, or not I don't like, they're just not for me. They're coming out with stuff like that 365. They're coming out with like the Rattler. They're coming out with all these things that people really want. So it's very interesting to me that how this market has been over the last couple of years, that we've been able to diverge so much between companies. Some companies took that time to do R&D and come out with some awesome stuff, and some companies are trying to reinvent the old wheel again. Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's interesting. So I'm still waiting on my 365 to come in. Speaking of stuff coming in, my the fixed rifles are finally coming in.
I saw that post.
It's been a year. I went back and looked at my original orders on February 10th. They first announced it, and so I got a hold of them and said, guys, I need a batch of those. And they're like, heck, no problem. Heck yeah, you can have the first batch. They're going to be yours. Don't worry about it. And so I ordered a ton of them, not a ton, but a big batch of them, and put them up for pre-order. And so some people pre-ordered them right away and have had to like patiently wait for a year. I even emailed the folks, last fall saying, I think it's so unfair for me to keep your pre-order money, which was not the full amount. It was not even 10%, or maybe it was 10% of the amount. So it's not even fair for me to do that, even though it's not my fault. Here, you can have your money back if you want. And a bunch of them took up on that offer, and I still resold the rest. So it's just been so long, and all of a sudden, I'm so excited that the shipment's coming in that they made my shipment even bigger for me. So I have a couple extra. So if you want one of them, go check out kleckner.co and just go to the store there, and you'll see under products, you can select the rifles. You'll see it right there. I have 308s that are available now. The 6.5 Creedmoors are still back ordered, but even though I've switched to 6.5 Creedmoor a little bit, I like it. I'm keeping the 308 for sure. One of those 308s is mine. Just, it is such a fun cartridge. I'm so used to it, and I think it's a 16-inch barrel. So with the folding stock, that thing is going to be so ridiculously tiny and lightweight. That's going to be my out to 1,000 target gun and my hunting gun and my everything if it runs as good as I think it does, and I've heard from everybody else. So do I need to save one for you, Jason?
I'd rather have a nitrogen rifle, but
yeah,
sure.
Well, it's only about 5
right?
times the difference in cost. Yeah.
I know. No, actually, I'm saving my. Well, I should say I'm saving. I've already got the money saved for it. I'm trying to be as patient as I can for a Rec 10 20-inch.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
I'm being patient for.
I've been giving them a hard time about it. I'm actually swinging by their facility this week to pick up my M107. So I'm snagging a Barrett 50. They're hooking me up with one of those, so it'll be fun to see. And I'll give them a hard time while I'm there. The good news about it, I guess they're waiting. They're waiting to make sure it's right, which I think is really kind of cool. But yeah, I'm very anxious too.
But yeah, I'm patiently waiting without buying a whole bunch of stuff to get that.
Yeah, that's going to be a great gun, because I know they won't release it until it's at least as good as what I was shooting the other day. Actually, right. October, the NSSF video shoot. That's when we had it. So we've known about it. I've had known about it for that long. I had to keep it a secret, and then we have to wait a little bit longer. But it'll be awesome. It'll just be a cool gun.
You've got DLR asking you what type of a short range deer and elk rifle caliber. He's using 12 gauge rifled slugs. Thinking like a subsonic 308 or a 9mm rifle, if that would be enough.
I don't know if he's messing with me.
I don't know if he's messing with you. I'm like, I wouldn't do either.
No.
Short range or long range, deer and elk. I mean, I think the hardest round to beat's a 30-06. I mean, it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go up in grains for both. So
I second Jason's point for sure. I would probably say 308 though, just because 308's even more everywhere.
Right.
And modern 308 matches 30-06. So modern 308 performance out of the cartridges and the rifles is, if you look on ballistic charts, it's, a little further behind. It's 10% behind the 30-06, but really it does perform almost just as well in a shorter action. But either one you can't go wrong with. Don't shoot with subsonic 308. Subsonic 308 is essentially a 45. And a 9mm rifle is essentially a 9mm. So yeah. I wouldn't do either. You could do it. You could kill an elk with a 22 long rifle for sure. But I'm about having an ethical kill on an animal. I would always rather extend the stock and not the shot. I love that catchphrase that they're coming out with, trying to have people stop taking these extreme long range shots and calling it hunting. You guys get mad at that, I'm sorry, but at a certain point, if you don't have a chance of missing or coming home empty-handed, it's not hunting. So right. If you're shooting 1,000 yards away and you can, be watching YouTube videos on your phone with the sound on, and the animal doesn't know you're there, and you can just lay there and take a shot and knock it down. Yeah, okay, good. Dealer is not messing with me. Worried about smaller pieces of public land. I don't think you should do it still. If you want to do something unique and you want to have like a subsonic gun, I would hunt deer with a supersonic 300 blackout. I would do that. Absolutely. But that subsonic, even 300 blackout is the same as a subsonic 308, right? That's the problem with subsonic, is all these cartridges all become equal once you go subsonic because they're the same speed. I just don't, again, you could do it. You could kill an elk with a 9mm rifle. I would not consider that an ethical choice, especially when you're going to have a weird or an angled shot. So your 12 gauge rifled slug barrel would probably be great. Maybe you keep doing that if you're worried about distance or range. I know 45-70 or like 30-30s or some of the blunt nosed bullets might be cool. Yep. Because they'll carry a lot of energy You can do a blunt nose bullet in a 308 too. You can get a round nose soft point lead bullet. Now, still the bullet's going to travel very far because it's a rifle cartridge, but it's not going to go as far. It can drop a little faster, things like that. So, no, I would not recommend those. Stick with what you got. Go archery. I mean, we're a family of archery hunters, right? So if I have a choice, I'd rather archery hunt, honestly. Even being such a gun guy. So
Well,
there's a great way I can get quiet. I can get up close. I don't have to worry about distance or range or stuff like that. What do you say, Jason?
well, I was going to say I'm just curious too because I know some states, especially back east, you're only allowed to hunt with a 12 gauge. You're not allowed to use rifles.
Correct.
So I don't know where he's at, or if that would even be an issue.
Yeah, so I'm
If
saying
it
stay with the
is,
rifle 12 gauge, or do archery.
yeah, you may want to check on that before you buy a rifle and get into trouble.
So DLR says he has a 308 and he hand loads. So that's awesome. So you can do anything with that. If you haven't already, check out H4895. That's my favorite kind of all around powder. If I had to pick one, and that's the one where you can do the 60% loads if you want. Not for hunting elk. Excuse me, sorry, on there. But if you want to hunt deer, you can load it down a little bit if you want, if you're going to have close enough shots. You can do very, very low power loads safely with H4895, and you can do that in the 308. So that's actually kind of cool. You can get like little 110, 115 grain bullets. So they call it a youth load. So it's very light recoiling, but 110 grain, 115 grain bullet zipping through the air would be great to take down the deer. So cool. All right, man. What else is going on with you?
Just dying to get out shooting. I'm actually going to go this weekend. Finally, it feels like it's been a year. It kind of has in a weird sense since we're in the new year. But I've not been shooting at all. I cannot wait to get out. I'm going to try to drag Jared with me, my brother. For those who don't know,
It's so weird. He's back in Phoenix now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's back. It's awesome. So I'm going to try to drag him out with me and go spend a day of it.
That'll be cool.
Just hang out with him for the day. But dying to throw some more rounds to that last build I had. I'm dying to get rid of a couple and get back into doing some more. So I've definitely got an itch for it, and I want to get some more Cerakote done and some more testing done.
Yeah, how's that going? You've been practicing with that?
So I have not done a pistol yet, but believe it or not, I had to do. They did a bunch of hammered metal decorative art for this designer work that we did. So we were doing the granite, and they wanted to do this smash hammered metal work, and they wanted it flat black, and they didn't want it powder coated, and they didn't want it painted. So I'm like, well, I could Cerakote it for you, and they're like,
what's that?
Yeah, so I show them, and anyway, ended up Cerakoting all their pieces for them, baked them all up, and they turned out great. They look awesome. It's exactly what they wanted because it didn't take away the detail of the hammering. That's what they were worried about with the.
Yeah. It would like fill in the gaps. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the second time I've done it. It turned out great. Everything
that's
worked
cool.
out real well with it. Yeah.
I've talked to somebody else before saying that because they're looking for a side work for something and they're not in the firearms industry at all. They're not connected with firearms at all. And I brought up before, I'm like, you ever thought I heard of Cerakote? Like, what do you mean? Because they do a lot of craftsy kind of project stuff. I said, you could probably get a license. I could help you at FFL if you wanted. You could have a steady flow of side work if you wanted to do coatings for people. But you'd be amazed at how cool that Cerakote is. I mean, it's still paint. But it's got some better properties to it. You'd be amazed at what that can do. I bet there's a whole lot of that world of homemade or handmade stuff like that where you could be the only one doing it, charging money and getting a cool coating for people. I think it's kind of limitless if you get your name out there for it.
Oh yeah, and then I got another guy who wants me to do a blower intake for his little race car he's got. He's like, hey, you think it'll hold up to the heat? I go, well, it holds up on a barrel, so I would assume so.
Yeah. You should try the air dry. The air dry does better on heat, right?
No, they said the bake one does better.
What?
I remember right.
That makes sense. Well, because it would make sense. You got to bake it on to be better in the heat. But then I remember hearing it when I learned it because the AAC silencers are air dry Cerakote. And they told me they could have been, who knows what they said, but they were like, oh yeah, we do the air dry because it works better for the heat. I said, how does that make sense? The other one's meant to be heated.
Right.
And they said, yeah, something about that it needs the heat to do it, to get the nice finish. And something the air dry one, I don't know. But I would do the higher temp one.
Well, the air dry one takes a couple days to fully cure too. I mean,
yeah,
you're looking at an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the temperatures you're baking, and it's done. You let it cool down
Yeah.
and away you go.
Right.
So,
That
but
makes
no,
sense.
I've been real happy thus far with it. I want to figure out how to get the inside of that upper without dry spraying it. If it continues and I get really serious about it, I think I would be willing to pay and take their course and fly up there and
Hmm.
go over some of the points that I'm struggling with a little bit.
Could you
But
dip
no,
it? I forget if I asked that last time.
I don't think so. They don't talk about being able to
Like
dip it.
grab it by the front, dip it, and then just go into like a box and just shake it out like crazy and get all the excess off.
Oh, I think it would look horrible. Interesting enough, when you spray the Cerakote, it's, I don't know how to explain it right, other than as soon as you spray it, the liquid that's in it seems to evaporate.
Is it
And
alcohol based?
it's got to be some kind of a styrene or something like that. But it evaporates, and what's left is like a clay. You can literally take your finger and smudge it.
Hmm.
And if you smudge it, then of course you ruined it, and you got to clean it off and start over. But you can, because when I was doing my test spraying, I would touch it and move it, and you can literally just slide your finger and it'll build up like you pushed a piece of clay.
Weird.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, cool, man. I
Interesting
hope it
stuff.
keeps working out for you, and maybe you turn a side business out of it. Do some fun stuff. Do a couple projects here and there.
Yeah. So the next gun's going to be for my dad. He seems to want one of these now. So he said, pretty much build whatever you want because you're going to end up with it later again anyway. So I'm like, all right.
So you're gonna build him a Kleckner AR, or are you gonna go Franken gun again?
I'm going to probably go Frankengun.
What?
Yeah.
Your dad would like having his name on a gun.
Yeah, he would, but so would I.
Oh, yeah, I know where they make those. We can get more of those.
I know a fella. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So cool, man. Well, I'm glad you joined me tonight, and I think I got the points out I needed to get out. You told me about the. Oh, so wait a minute. I got to ask you one more thing. You said getting rid of some guns. You're not getting rid of the AAC, are you?
Yes, I'm considering getting rid of the AAC.
Why? That's such a cool gun.
It is a cool gun, and I've loved it, and it's been a lot of fun.
And it's a bit of a moon rock. I mean, not many people have those.
I haven't committed to it yet, but I don't know. I don't know if it's an ego thing because I built the other rifle,
Right.
but my rifle, and I'm not knocking AAC because they make amazing stuff, but
Used
I
to.
like my gun better than that AAC.
I
And I'm
believe
still
it.
using it. I'm still shooting it, but I have a feeling if I don't sell it, it's just going to sit in the safe and go to Tucker or one of the boys or Hunter, and
Yeah.
I'll just pass it on to them.
You haven't abused it, have you? Like,
No, it's pristine still. Looks super pretty.
I might snag it from you. I don't have one.
Hasn't been dropped or nothing.
Actually, I have one, but it's kind of a custom paint job one, so I might try it. If you're gonna sell it, don't sell it without asking me first.
You got it. You're
All
number
right,
one
thanks,
on the
man.
list.
All right, thank you so much for joining me again, and thank you everyone listening and joining the live chat. Sorry, we saw a lot of the comments go by. We didn't respond back. I apologize, but tried to get the best we could. And to the person who thumbs down within the first 2 minutes, stop listening, dude. Life's short. Go do something else. There's a lot of things I don't like also, and I don't spend my time listening to them. So
Now, be fair. Maybe he accidentally hit the wrong thumb. I've done that
maybe
before. Giving him the benefit of the doubt.
I don't think he's a bad guy. Might be a great guy. I'm just saying, why would you listen to something you didn't like? Anyway, for the rest of you guys, I really appreciate it. All the support for Rocket FFL for getting your license, that continues to grow every single month. And I know it's because you guys are telling people. Thank you. And if you're telling people and you haven't signed up as an affiliate yet, you're kind of crazy. If you sign up as an affiliate on Rocket FFL, you can get 30% of whatever somebody spends. So if you're telling people about it anyway, give them your special link, and I cut you a check at the end of the month for every single person you referred. So why not do that? But anyway, I appreciate it. Rocket CCW, something else Rocket. I'll have to figure out what to name. The book has been going great. You guys are awesome. And I'm trying to get the ATF compliance course done. I think I might be able to film at the end of this week. So maybe the courses will be ready next week. And then I am going to cocoon myself from the outside world and get that second book finished. Thanks again, Jason.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it, man.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.